everyone, Ryan here. This is Social Shortcuts. Today I'm going to start a series of videos on body language. The first two are going to cover the basic fundamentals of understanding body language and how to read it and communicate with it properly. Then after that I'm going to go through lots of different gestures and the meanings behind them. This is the first one. Today I'm going to give you 7 body language basics for you to learn and remember. So here we go. Number 1, body language is like mind reading. Here's how. First of all, the mind produces a thought. Then that thought produces a feeling, an emotion. Then from that emotion, something will happen with the body language. No matter how good you are at controlling your body language, it's impossible to control it completely, which I'll go through soon. And then if you read that body language correctly, of course, then indirectly you're mind reading. Where this can become a bit confusing to people is that body language is only good for communicating simple things. Am I happy? Am I scared? Do I want to talk to you? Things like that. You can't talk about astrophysics with body language. So in a sense it's mind reading, but you can only read certain things about that person. Remember also that communication is split into 3 areas: body language, voice tone, and the words you use. Body language accounts for 55% of communication. Voice tone is 38%. And for those of you who are really good at maths, you might have guessed this already, the words you use are 7%. This statistic is floating all around on the internet, in books, in psychology studies, etc, etc. So body language is about 8 times as much of a strong communicator as using words. The way that it's different is that with words you can communicate about complicated things. There's no way that I can communicate to you all this information using body language alone. All my body language communicates to you is that I want to communicate it and that I'm confident about what I'm saying. So body language is like mind reading, but remember, it only communicates simple things. Words are for complicated things. Point 2, there's 3 levels of body language. The first level is totally conscious. If I wave my hand at you like this, I've thought to myself, okay, I'm going to wave my hand now, and then I've done what I thought I was going to do. That's totally conscious. Number 2 of this 3 parts of body language is subconscious body language. These are things that are habits, but you can change if you become aware of it and think, okay, I'm going to change it, and you can change the habit entirely if you just practice and discipline yourself. So this will be something like right now, the way that I'm standing, or the way I'm moving my arms, or my facial expression isn't something that I'm focusing on too much, because I'm focusing more on talking and addressing the points that I have to say. But if I really trained myself, I could change this habit. So another example of this may be the way that you sit, your posture, or the way that you walk. These are all things that you probably don't give much thought to, but if you wanted to, you could change this. That's the second part of the 3 layers of body language, if you will. The last part is totally subconscious. This is something that you pretty much have absolutely no control over. This includes things like the top half of your face tends to be totally unconscious in terms of you being able to control it and stuff, whereas the bottom half isn't. Things like how dilated your pupils are, or how fast your heart is beating. Areas that are really far away from your brain, so for example the hands and feet, are pretty much in this category as well. This means that no matter how good you are at disciplining yourself and controlling your body language, some of it is still going to leak out. Poker players may be familiar with this, and people will have certain tics, and you can't control all of your body language. So one thing that professional poker players do is they give out fake tics at certain points to confuse their opponent, because they know that no matter how much they control themselves, some of what you're thinking will leak out through body language. Point 3, remember that your body language affects your emotional state. If you're showing a type of body language which is a symptom of being happy, you're going to become more happy. If you're showing a type of body language that's a symptom of being unconfident, then you're going to feel less confident. This isn't a dramatic effect. I'm not saying if you suddenly stand up straighter, bang, you're going to feel amazing and confident straight away. No, that's ridiculous. What will happen is it will be a subtle effect, and it will happen over the course of perhaps a few minutes. This occurs because of the way that your body works and your nervous system and things like that. So one of the main ways that body language affects your mood is through posture, but it's also done in other ways as well. For example, moving around helps you to feel better. This is one of the reasons why I think body language is probably the ultimate thing to work on in terms of social dynamics, because it not only helps you to read people better, it also helps you to communicate better, and it has the magic impact of actually being able to change your mood slightly, which other things can't do, and it's generally quite a hard thing to master, changing your mood. So make sure to remember that, and that should be an extra incentive to have good, happy, sociable, confident seeming body language at all times. Point 4. Body language is contagious. If you're interacting with one person and you're expressing a type of body language which shows that you're happy, then they're probably going to start replicating that type of body language at some point. If you show a type of body language which suggests that you're unsociable and you don't want to talk, the other person is probably going to replicate this. Whoever has the strongest frame, if you will be the person who everyone ends up copying if there's a group of people. This doesn't even have to be a person you're interacting with in the way that you're probably thinking about. If there's simply someone who's sitting near you who you don't even know, over time they're probably going to start copying your body language, or you'll start copying theirs. Over a long enough period of time, if you keep people in one space, they're all going to be having a similar type of body language. What does this mean? This means that it's like a snowball effect. If you're in an interaction and you're showing bad body language, the other person's going to show it too. And if we relate back to the previous point, what does that mean? It's going to affect your mood, and then you're going to show more of this negative body language, and it just gets worse and worse, and the other person will start doing it too, and the whole interaction just gets worse and worse. The opposite is true if you're showing good body language. If you do this, maintain your frame and stick to your good body language, you can even turn around gradually someone who's feeling incredibly negative, maybe in a bad mood, or may not want to really interact with you. So make sure that, again, this is another big incentive to keep your body language really good, because people are going to end up parroting it at some point, and it's going to make everyone feel better or worse. You decide. Point 5 is about social intuition. Whatever you feel about someone is likely to be right. If you learn the points of body language, which we'll be going over in this series in time, then you can be more sure that you're right and you can use this stuff more efficiently. But if you can feel something about someone, it's probably correct. All humans are absolute experts at socializing. Unless you were literally brought up in a wolf pack or in a cage or something, you're going to be an expert at socializing. You might not agree with this. You might be coming to this channel because you feel like it's the complete opposite. This may be true in comparison to other people, not so much after you've learnt a lot from us, but it's not true in general. Let me put this into perspective. Imagine for a second that every human on Earth swapped all the time they had spent socializing and interacting with other people with playing football. Everyone is going to be absolutely amazing at football. We spend so much time of our lives, probably a similar amount to the amount of time we spend sleeping, socializing. This means that from experience, we've all learnt loads and loads and loads and loads. So all humans are expert at socializing. That's one of the reasons why humans have thrived and become such a successful species. It's because we're so good at communicating with each other. The difference lies in, rather than learning from experience, which means that you're going to pick up a lot of bad habits and not be totally 100% sure and confident about stuff. What Social Shortcuts has to offer, and me, Ryan, is that we'll give you the information which we know works or that we're pretty sure works. We'll make sure to tell you which is the case. And you can learn this and adapt it to your style of socializing to be really refined with how you're using your social dynamics and much more confident about it. And we'll give you lots of action points so you can be sure. The only reason humans feel like they're bad at socializing is nearly always just from negative past experiences. So if you can learn and get better and get yourself some new positive experiences and learn things which you're pretty sure work so that you can build rapport with people, attract someone who you might be attracted to, get along with people better, etc., etc., then you're going to be better in comparison with the other human. But my main point here was about social intuition. If you can feel something, you're probably right because you've had a lot of experience. Point 6. Try to learn individual people's body language. There's a big list of gestures which we'll go through in this series, and they can mean certain things and you can learn how to read it with a very high degree of accuracy. But some of these gestures may be used more by individuals, and sometimes people have their own almost custom gestures. You should be much better at reading the body language of someone that you know well compared to a complete stranger. So try to pick this up. It's often important to be able to read people's body language in any kind of social circle, the workplace, a circle of friends, a class, whatever. So try to look out for how people react to certain situations. If someone's presented with something which makes them feel a certain emotion, nervous or excited or something like that, a lot of the time you'll spot that they do the same gesture each time they feel whatever emotion. So if you remember this and commit it to memory, you're going to be able to read the body language of people you know really, really well. And you should be able to read it better than strangers and pick up people's individual habits and how they react to certain situations. That's quite a useful tip right there, and one of the basics in this video on basics. So start trying to do that as soon as possible. Anyone you hang around with a lot, especially if it's someone who it's more important, you need to be able to read what they're doing. Perhaps you're a teacher who teaches a class of kids and you need to know if someone's lying or doing something bad or doing something good. This can be useful to put more of an effort into. Point 7, the last point in this first video on basics and fundamentals of understanding body language, before we go into our second video where we're going to go through 7 more of these, and then after that we're going to pretty much list all the gestures, not every single gesture in the world obviously, but a long list of them so that you should be able to read most situations and communicate much more efficiently. The last point is the most important point, okay? And this is how you can come to a conclusion and say, okay, this person is feeling happy, this person is feeling scared, this person is feeling sociable. What you do is you have to look for 3 gestures that point to the same outcome. You can't look for one and then say, okay, this person is feeling whatever emotion. This is the most common way that people think that they're experts at reading body language and they read stuff wrongly. A really, really common example, and probably the most commonly known consciously piece of body language, is arm crossing. So when someone's crossing their arms, they're feeling defensive, negative, nervous. But they may just be cold. They may have just crossed their arms for no reason. They might have just thought to themselves, I think I'll look cooler if I cross my arms, let's cross my arms. That's how you can misinterpret it. If they are crossing their arms, crossing their legs, and looking away, then yeah, then you've got 3 signals that point to pretty much the same outcome, and you can make a conclusion based on that. I'm going to keep repeating that throughout the series because it's so important. You have to look for 3 gestures. You can't just spot one and then say, okay, this person is feeling whatever. I'll probably keep repeating it so much that it gets annoying, but that's just to make sure that you learn properly.